Thank you very much. So I'm here to talk about the Africa Goal Project, to talk about following your passion, making a difference, and having fun while doing so. So in early 2006, I was just finishing my undergraduate studies. I wanted to travel around South and East Africa, overland, as you do when you're finished and having grown up here. But I also didn't want to miss the World Cup. I'm a football fan. The World Cup was going on. So we came up with this idea, it was myself and a couple of friends, to travel with a mobile screen, a satellite dish, a projector, a generator, sat locator, all the equipment needed to show live World Cup games to audiences along the way. And because the regions we were traveling through happened to be regions that are really affected by HIV, we thought that it's a good opportunity to use that platform to disseminate vital HIV information. This actually is this was taken in Swaziland. That's the Minister of Health, and this is some of the groups out of the 2010 campaign. So we've done this now since every World Cup since 2006. The goal is simple: it's to support improved HIV awareness and service provision amongst most at-risk populations in East and Southern Africa, using the FIFA World Cup as an effective platform for engagement and empowerment. And how do we do this? Or why football? Why the World Cup? It's quite simple. Africans love football. I mean, football is as popular as anything else. It's played everywhere, on dusty football pitches, outside villages, on the side of the road, on the beach, by men as well as women. And more often than not, the balls being used are homemade, are handcrafted, out of all sorts of materials that happen to be around. You have balls out of plastic bags, out of wool, out of, at the bottom there you see one that's actually wired together with grass, fabric. And I mean, to us, these are real sort of symbols of Africa's obviously passion for football, creativity, but also extreme ingenuity in the face of adversity. It's just the fact that people can't afford a ball doesn't mean that they don't enjoy the game, don't play football. So the World Cup. So the World Cup being the pinnacle, the main event in the football calendar, attracts audiences like nothing else. It really is, the talk in town when the World Cup is going on. You'll go to Marketplace, you'll see everybody talking about it. People crowd around little, bars and cafes watching the events. It's actually a funny story. So recently I was talking to a friend who works in Somalia with the UN, and he was saying that he was doing some hostage training, in case you're kidnapped, what to do. And one of the things that the trainer was saying is that one of the things you can do is learn a little bit about football, learn a little bit about teams, learn a little bit about soccer players, because there's one thing that might sort of unite you with your kidnappers, sort of icebreaker, as it were to talk about what's happening in the football world, which I think there's really nothing else that unites people, or very few things, as the World Cup and football in Africa. So why HIV information? Why use the World Cup as a platform to relay HIV information? First of all, matches create an enabling and unclinical platform where people can freely access HIV information without the fear of stigma and discrimination. As mentioned previously, football unites people. We believe that it's a great venue for people that would normally not talk about sensitive issues, so whether it be men and women or young and old. It's really an environment where you can have those dialogues. Something that's the major demographic that go to these games are young adolescent males, which also happens to be one of the sort of key demographics and one of the ones that are really hard to reach, that often don't seek out health information themselves. And then also happens to correlate with the demographic that's most at risk of HIV, those between the ages of 15 and 49, which is the reproductive age group. So here we have a map. This is a map of the HIV prevalence, and you can see the darker areas are the ones with higher prevalence. This is the route we've taken during the last 3 campaigns, and you'll see that it's sort of a real mix match, because it's a mix of each year we've tried to sort of hit some of the same locations, work with the same partners where we feel it's been very effective, but also try to find new locations where we feel that this model would work and works. This year, actually, the World Cup's coming up, 2018. We're actually going to head up north towards Turkana, where we feel, because of its remoteness, first of all, access to the World Cup is going to be limited, as well as HIV information and services. And then we're combining that with some fishing villages in Lake Victoria, some islands, as well as sort of high prevalence areas like truck stops, border towns, to name but a few. So how do we do this? First of all, it's getting there, which is often easier said than done. This is actually northern Kenya. We had some flash floods. We arrive at the venue. This is actually a stadium outside Iringa in Tanzania, where they were showing the game. We then set up a screen. This is a screen that comes in multiple components that needs to be assembled before the games. Then, depending on the ambient light, so the World Cups happen all over the world, and it happens at different times, and because we want to show the live events, depending on the time difference, we have a big shade netting that comes up in order to prevent the ambient, to make it easier to show the projector. Luckily, this time in Russia, it actually correlates, so we won't have to do that. We then set up a satellite dish. This was actually out from the 2006 campaign, and it's quite, technology's changed a lot. It was 6 different parts that had to be assembled by hand. And screwed in. It took about an hour to assemble the satellite dish. Luckily, that's changed. We have a generator that we travel with. This is actually this was from the last World Cup. You can see the size of the satellite dish is very different. There's an easier sat locator we can get. And then we look for signal, which is, luckily we've always gotten signal, but if you've ever had tried to locate a satellite, it's easier said than done. And then we show these games. So and we've shown them all over the place. This is one. This was a bus station, the main bus station, Mashvingo in Zimbabwe. This is a field outside a tea plantation this is in Sotik in western Kenya. This is a fishing village, Kampi ya Samaki, in Lake Baringo. This was the town center of Mtendere, Zambia. Some are indoors. This is an indoor game. This is again in Mashvingo. This is a teacher's college. We show the game. And actually, quite often they're on the football pitches, because it happens to be a venue right outside the villages that is a big space where people can gather, where they can show the games. This is a zoomed in picture of that. And it's quite interesting to see because of the amount of lumens that the projector is doing. You can actually see it from both sides. So you're watching the game here, but you can have a larger audience because you can have suddenly people gathered on the other side watching it as well. This is one of my favorite pictures. This was in Chirundu in Zimbabwe, where we had an unexpected visitor show up. This is before the game. So yeah, it attracts all sorts. We do this. So we do this. So we show the football. We're there to, in a sense, provide entertainment, and then we work with partners on the ground to create a platform for these organizations to, number one, bring services to the community, but also to scale up their impact and awareness of the activities that they run with these communities. So the idea being, so we show the football, it's the partners that steer the specific HIV activities. They decide what information is relevant for the community, because what are we? We go in, we come for a day, we show the event, and then we travel on. So the idea is that if we can work with partners on the ground, the linkages are made between the community and the partners, and also there's a lot of, which I'll talk about later, like testing going on site and stuff. So that means that there's that linkages there. So if they need any follow-up, they can then work with those partners. So some of the activities these partners work on. So there's a lot of HIV testing and counseling going on. We're always amazed about how many people, popular is not the right word, but how many people attend and use these services. More than a lot of this happens in 1 month, and we've had some locations where within that one day that game was going on, we've had more people tested than the whole year that these organizations were working in that community. There's information sessions going on. There's question and answer sessions. I'm a teacher, and I very rarely get such an enthusiastic crowd when I'm talking, so football obviously does that. There's theater productions, so there's groups we work with that do drama productions, again, to just kind of talk about sensitive issues within the community. We even had a dance troupe. This was promoting male circumcision, believe it or not, but this happened before the game. And this happened before the game, during the game, and after the game. Here we have a game going on in the foreground, out of the screen, but in the background you see the testing centers and a long line going on. This is in the Sese Islands in Uganda. And it goes late into the night. Here we have, this is in Malawi, and you can see the game going on. It's quite a late one, and again the VCT centers open in the foreground. We also have materials we travel with that are produced by the organizations in collaboration with us. Packs that include posters, male and female condoms, booklets that are World Cup calendars that include that have HIV information, so they can follow the games and stuff. And in addition to following the games and seeing how their teams are doing, they're getting vital information. We also had a kids version, which is in a comic book format that talks about it, obviously at a level that's appropriate for children. So in numbers, since 2006, which is now 3 campaigns, and each campaign lasts about a month, we've had over 45,000 people reached with HIV information. Over 5,000 people accessed on-site HIV counseling and testing, and these people would then be referred onwards if they were positive, for treatment with organizations. Some notable things that we're quite proud of in Baringo, for example, was the first time that mobile VCT had been successful in the village. They've tried before and it hadn't worked. And then we've developed partnerships with 30 local organizations, strengthened their relationship in the community. Very importantly, of course, 45,000 people have managed to watch the World Cup, and these are people that for a lot of them, it was the first time they've seen a live World Cup game on a big screen. It really was, it's an amazing atmosphere. They go there to enjoy the soccer, but also it's a real opportunity for the community to come together, to support each other, to fight an epidemic that's really affected everybody at these games in some way or another. So. In conclusion, Africa Go has seen its successes, but I think what I find the most amazing, and what really strikes me and some of students at the school that are roughly around the same age that when we started this project, is that we're now 12 years later, and the same group of 10 friends that started this project, 4 of them are ISK alumni, by the way, get together and take, some of them have children, some of them have families, married, live all over the world, take a break from their busy lives once every 4 years, and try to make a difference and having fun at the same time. Thank you very much.
Just a small gift from ISK.
Thank you very much.